For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Marcy Holmes. I'm a certified relationship coach with the Relational Life Institute and also the Life Coach School. And Beth.
I am Beth Buchanan. I'm a board certified holistic nutritionist, and my little company is Well Nourished. And I specialize in female hormonal health, digestion, and then metabolic health.
Amazing. Okay, so to get this out of the way, this webinar is a teaser to promote our group program, Rooted, a 4-week roadmap to feeling great in perimenopause, which starts in 2 weeks. And it will start July 7th, this day and time, and it's $400 for the 4 weeks, unless you sign up in the next 48 hours, because we have early bird pricing, because we know how hard it is to take action on something, even if you really want it. So until Thursday night, it's 50% off using the code community. And
Yay. And we're both offering free 30-minute sessions, one-on-ones, which is pretty exciting and I think highly valuable.
yeah, so if you sign up in the next 48 hours, you get those 2 bonuses. And that's all we will say about that. And then we will just focus on the content here. And I will put this in the chat really quick. And so, Beth, do you want to jump in?
Okay, Leslie's here. I see her. There she is. That's my girl. Okay, so
Sorry, I'm just gonna put it off, screw off video and mute.
are you eating?
But I'm listening and I'm here.
Okay, great. So this was kind of designed really looking at or kind of talking to this perimenopause window, which I kind of go 35 to 55. However, conversations around menopause, which would be a similar hormone shifting happening and nervous system shifting and adrenals and liver and all the things, is also very applicable. So in this space, we have all of these fluctuations, and the first thing we start to see kind of dropping is progesterone. And progesterone is one of our calming hormones. So this thing that we've been really used to having in a pretty cyclic form throughout multiple years and decades is kind of just decided not to show up anymore. And so we're noticing things in our nervous system that no longer are buffered. And so that's kind of the beginning of tipping into like, I don't have the resilience. I'm a little bit annoyed. Why do I feel like I don't have the patience for this thing, this person, this situation? So it's really messing with the thing that has otherwise allowed us to kind of be calm and stable most of the time.
Yeah, so your nervous system is scanning 7 times per second. Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? And so the same type of threats that would have normally maybe felt like a 4 now feel like a 7 or an 8. And that's why you're feeling increased irritability. But also because it's fluctuating, it's not a predictable irritability. And that's where it can feel really confusing of like, okay, my kid asked me 3 questions and I really enjoyed it. And then they asked a 4th question and I blew up at them. So that's where that's coming from.
So I was sitting in between my children in the back of a car the other day, and we were on the way to the lake, and it was going to be so fun. And it was like the first 15 seconds, that was great. And then I just felt this like full body, like I am going to lose it if my child keeps telling this story and this one keeps asking me a question. And I had to like do some deep breathing in the vehicle because I had 45 minutes sitting between them so I could make it. But anyway, so in line with that, our body is constantly asking, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? All day long, like Marcy was just saying. And it's how we answer that question that allows us to send these safety signals to ourselves all day. My first one when I work with people is always blood sugar. So, for a quick explanation, we get hungry, our blood sugar dips as a sign, nice job, Eric, as a sign to say, hey, it sends us a cue, you need fuel. So, we probably should go eat something. We eat something, our blood sugar either goes a little too high or pops back up where we want it to be. And we should kind of do this nice roller coaster throughout the day, like a predictable one that comes with food, and then we have a break. When we get into the space of hormones no longer being as predictable, men or women, we are more sensitive to those highs and lows, and we end up being like less sensitive to insulin. So we no longer respond the way we used to food coming in, and then that signal that the nervous system is receiving with food coming in. So I do these kind of really, here's my foundational rules, if you will. Number one, eat within 90 minutes of waking. The very beginning of the day is how we answer our first safety signal. And if we are waiting too long, men, this is a little different for you, and I'll speak to that in a moment. Ladies, if we're waiting too long, It's an emergency signal that you don't have resources to get through the day. So what's the plan? How are we gonna deal with that? And this goes into even like how does our thyroid show up? How do our adrenal glands respond to that? Men, you are luckier in that you have a bigger buffer. You can go longer in the morning with fasting, where ladies, we should not be doing that right now. And you don't quite have the same emergency mechanism that we do. Number two, ladies, at least 30 grams of protein with breakfast. I am a firm believer in well-sourced animal protein as a safety signal. So those amino acids are building blocks to help support thyroid, our immune system, gut health, our nervous system, the list goes on and on, not just this, right? So the amino acids early in the morning in the complete profile of animal protein is another really amazing safety signal. Gentlemen, you can also digest and handle more protein at once than ladies. Ladies, I'm real comfortable between like 30 and 40 grams at a time that we can digest and assimilate, assuming we have decently robust digestion. Gentlemen, you can go higher. You can go up to like 50, maybe even 65 if your digestion is really great. Spreading it out is another strategy to use, and that can get really individualized. But protein first thing, breakfast within 90 minutes, and with that meal, I kind of include four things. So it's our really great animal protein, our smart carbs, meaning things that actually provide more than just a carbohydrate conversation, healthy fats, and then fiber. So my plates kind of always have like those four things should be showing up on every plate. What else do I have to tell you? And that's the very beginning. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner look like that. I'm a big fan of spreading protein out throughout the day, but the beginning conversation of how do we break our fast, how do we show up in the morning, is the first set of safety signals to bring you into the day.
Yeah. And I've worked with Beth, and I started implementing some of her things, like waiting in between meals, in between. Don't snack in between meals, and eat plenty of food at that first meal so that you're not hungry before your next meal, right? And just within a few days, the same week, I had more energy than I've had since my 20s because she was able to pinpoint glycogen retrieval, right? But that is something that comes with being middle-aged. So I did not used to have blood sugar or fat digestion issues at all until I hit middle-aged. And now it's been a little bit harder for my body. And doing just, these little baby steps, because for me to be sustainable, I had to make really teeny tiny changes at a time. I saw a difference really quickly. And so that's what, like, if this sounds like, oh, that's so hard, what's the harm in giving it a try and seeing how you feel? But definitely start making notes of your objections to Beth's instructions and my instructions so that we can Q&A those at the end. So you mentioned the systemic impact. So that blood sugar fluctuation, it doesn't just affect your blood sugar. It affects your adrenals, your liver, your thyroid, and all of your stress hormones. And so it's really hard to learn new ways of doing things and have a new system of when you eat, how you eat, whatever. But those fluctuations being unpredictable means that the payoff for this is huge. So that's executive function issue. And that's where my first tip comes in, is that we are getting interrupted 400 times a day. That is a actual study that was done. The average mom especially is interrupted 400 times before dinner. And then you still have dinner and bedtime. The other day, it took me 10 minutes to drink a glass of water because it was like, oh, the filter's not full, and then the pitcher is missing, and then this got spilled, and then I had to go find a towel in a different room. It was 10 minutes until I got a glass of water, and that's just how we live our life, right? That is something that I cannot make a system and stop being interrupted, but that interruption costs our executive functioning, and that cost is higher when your hormones are fluctuating and making your executive function go up and down, right? And so my first tip is to make sure that there is time blocked out in your calendar where you do get to stop being interrupted for 45 minutes minimum. And if you can do that once a week, okay. But if you could do that every day, where there was like a chunk of time set aside where your brain got to focus on one thing without being interrupted, without meeting someone else's needs, without getting up and checking on something, that is so important for your mental health. And, if it has to happen after bedtime, I understand, because kids do not stop. So but figure out what that is. Don't just do revenge bedtime procrastination where you're just not going to bed. You know, a lot of people will stay up on their phone scrolling, or they'll stay up doing, you know, random things because they're trying to get that focus time back. And so if you are intentional and you're like, I'm going to journal, I'm going to make a little craft, I'm going to work on a puzzle, whatever thing is that you get to do one thing for 45 minutes. And here's my bonus tip on that is while you're doing it, while you're journaling, while you're doing the puzzle, move slowly. Give yourself a chance to be completely unrushed. There is no deadline. There is no reason to hurry. That tells your brain we are not being chased by a tiger right now. And so when you're being unrushed unnecessarily, knock it off and let your thoughts just go, right? Like, you know, the geniuses say they get their best ideas out on a walk or in the shower. It's because you're slowing down and not like trying to think 70 steps ahead. So
the not rushing is so I feel like I was born rushing. I'm the youngest of four. I didn't want to get left behind. I feel that I'd always be like, wait, they're leaving. Like, I feel like that has always been hurry up. And that's as I've gotten into this age and this new way that my brain has to function, that has been a monumental piece of like, what are you doing? Slow down, take a deep breath. If I put dishes away in a hurry, I crack all the dishes. I'm finding that happening, you know? So that's been a big one for me, which segues so beautifully into my number two. So my number two is all about digestion. So with blood sugar, we also have to digest things really well. And the first part of it, this is again the very beginning of how I work with my clients, is cephalic digestion. So it's basically like getting the brain involved in how our body is ready to receive food. So the beginning is get excited about what you're eating. Like, it looks pretty, it smells good. I'm going to cut it a certain way because I like that texture or I like how I can plate it. But being really present and in that moment of like, here's the thing I'm about to nourish myself with. How can I get my senses involved and the slow down process?
I just have to interrupt as I'm rudely interrupting right now. I know that, and I'm eating. What you're saying is beautiful. I'm shaking my head no. I'm making every night a Friday night, is what the box said from TGI Fridays. I'm having buffalo wings and breadsticks and everything you're saying. I'm throwing it to my dogs as I'm eating it, and it's like I'm completely not calibrated here. But I just want you to know I am not participating in what you're saying. I'm eating
no
garbage
judgment,
right
Eric.
now, and it is not
zero judgment.
It's not turning me on. Yeah, but I just want you to know, like I'm with you in spirit. It's going to be the next meal that I'll have. Yeah.
Full disclosure, I like it. I like it. Okay, so as we were in that process of working on being really present, you can smell a lemon, and the smell of a lemon will help you start to salivate. In our saliva, we have digestive enzymes. So the beginning of that process triggers this cascade to be like, okay, I'm gonna chew soon. My neck muscles need to get ready because I'm gonna swallow soon. That sends a message to my stomach so I can produce more hydrochloric acid. That's what we need to denature proteins. Talks to my pancreas. Hey, pancreas, get ready to add more digestive enzymes into this mix. So it's a space of otherwise I'm rushing. Maybe I'm chewing a little bit. I'm throwing food at kids so we can get out to school in the morning. I finished my meal, didn't taste it. Now my stomach just kind of feels like there's a bunch of food in there and it doesn't really know what to do with it. So the next part is this, how do I really get the next step of rest and digest? And it's some version of grace or gratitude. So my religious people very much resonate with grace. My non-religious people, gratitude. It's gratitude for the plate in front of me, for the beautiful day, for the person I get to sit next to, for the quiet I get to be in, for the music I get to listen to. Gratitude will put you into rest and digest very, very quickly at any moment in time. And it doesn't need to be about food. It can be about anything. Two more steps. 2 deep breaths before I start to eat, right? The deep breaths help with my vagus nerve and turning on this rest and digest thing again. And last but not least, chew to the consistency of soup or darn near close. So if you pay attention, do I take 3 good chews and then I just swallow the whole thing? Or do I put my fork down? Do I chew? Do I make some eye contact? Do I kind of take a little bit of a survey of what's happening in the room before I go in for the next bite? Those are the steps for digestion. How do we get into a space that says, body, you're safe. It's time to receive food. It's time to enjoy food, get the nourishment, and then we can digest and assimilate really well. if we're there, then all of those organs that need that nourishment are going to get way more than if I'm in the space of I just rush, get out the door, and now I can see whole formed things in my stool. Mechanics of digestion.
So important. Okay, so we're going to slow down. We're going to enjoy our food because we're going to help our body understand that right now, while I'm eating this food, I'm safe. You can go right back to being stressed after your meal, but during the meal, during that 45 minutes, just set aside those little bits. Don't set the bar so high of like, I need to be relaxed and calm all the time. That's unhelpful. It's counterproductive. So instead, we're just going to set aside certain times. Like Mercedes put in the comments that she has a timer that will remind her to check in and take a breath and relax her jaw and her shoulders. And just, even if you do that 3 times a day with an alarm, if she's doing it every 45 minutes, that's super amazing. But like, you know what I mean? Set the bar as something that is doable for you. And so my second tip is we are living through a degree of uncertainty that is huge and in our face all the time. We can't compartmentalize nearly as well as we think. So I don't want to hear people saying to themselves, I'm anxious for no reason. There is always a reason right now in the current day and time for you to be anxious. So if you get irritated over something really minor, assume that it's not something minor. There's no such thing as overreacting. It's just that what you're reacting to isn't this small thing. That's one of my favorite tips. One day I had a loss of a close family member, and about a week later, I was in my car and I got really mad at someone for honking at me, and he was being an idiot. But normally I roll my eyes at idiots in the car. It is not like me to be really, really angry. And so after I caught myself, I'm like, oh, I must be taking this loss a little harder than I thought I was, right? I was able to zoom out and say, okay, that's not really me. What's my behavior based on? What do I need in order to not do that again? A lot of times we try to harsh ourselves out of bad behavior, like, oh, I yelled at my kid because I'm horrible and I need to stop it. I just need to try harder to stop it. That's never actually going to accomplish what you want to accomplish versus if you step back and you get curious. What am I overreacting to and why, and what might be my unmet need here? So even though your hormones might be fluctuating all over the place, even though you might have 100 more stressors this year than last year, you're still not overreacting. Like when I was a kid, I used to hate when I would get upset and my parents would say, oh, you're just tired. I'm like, okay, but I still have a valid reason to be upset. The quantity might just be a little higher. The scope might be a little higher. So don't discount that you are upset, but be curious about it and investigate. What's my unmet need here? So that you can get that resource solved and you're not just going to, well, I'm just too sensitive or I'm just too mean or I'm too irritable. And, the character flaw method is a dead end. So those are our 4 tips. I just pasted them into the chat in case you want to refresh your memory. But what came up for you? And then we want to know all the reasons why one of our tips won't work for you specifically, because everyone's situation is unique. Eric's got his arm all the way up.
You're validating some things for me. I don't identify as spiritual, but I'm certainly, I have faith. But years ago, one of my favorite restaurants of all time, Super Salad, a salad buffet, disappeared after COVID. And I love salads. And so, because I don't want to be, in the middle of the day eating a big old, I don't know how people eat these big sandwiches and hamburgers. So I remember having lunch there by myself over in Tigard, and I watched somebody pray, just quietly, and it was really moving for me. It was like 3 or 4 years ago, even longer maybe, and ever since then, although I don't pray, but I certainly, I do. I certainly take a deep breath before I eat. Sometimes maybe I'll do this, but I definitely sit and take a deep breath and like just kind of be thankful for what I'm about to eat in some way. But what you're saying is really resonates with me for that moment of peace while you're eating, and it just gives me like take deep breaths. I'm not in fight or flight, and at some point I just got to slow down. So that thank you for saying that. That's something that helps me.
Yeah, you're there.
It calms me down. Thank you.
Yeah, intuitively. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. And Persady wanted to know what the curriculum for the group course is or the transformation focus. And it's about holistic nervous system support. So similar to these tips with some more stuff, so eating breakfast, recognizing that your weaknesses or your strengths turned up too high, and the effect of stress on your appetite, shame and guilt as fuel. Those are bad fuel, just to clarify, and metabolic flexibility, And then boundaries, healthy discomfort, all of those sort of things, how to prioritize yourself and your needs effectively. So those are all we could cram into 4 weeks. There's more stuff that we want to share, but that's the curriculum per se. I hope that answered your question. So the transformation would be that, yeah, prioritize yourself, take care of yourself. And so you're living your life instead of have it live you.
Perfect. Other objections, other things that came up, maybe resonated or not.
Who's going to have 30 grams of protein tomorrow within 60 minutes of waking up?
Nice,
Not
Tina.
bad.
I'm going to a meeting tomorrow, and I have 2 boxes of sesame donuts in my closet right now. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm eating donuts tomorrow.
Tomorrow, but what about Thursday? I had to think about days.
You know what I love recently, and I haven't researched it yet, but have you heard about this like new protein water? I just tried it and it's very, very interesting. It's whey based, which
Oh,
is probably not going to be helpful for those who are whey sensitive, which I very much used to be. But if you like the flavored water thing, which I'm not big on, but I do like these waters. They're like waters with like 15 to 20 grams of protein because it's somehow whey based. Someone can ruin it and say that they're absolutely awful for you, and I would not be offended. But I have helped a few friends like kind of get on the protein train a little bit with these like easy hacks because it can be hard for some people. But you have to drink your water. So,
it's a big mindset shift
mhm.
because we also, as a society, have come through these waves of something is a villain, right? Fat's a villain, carbs are villain, something somewhere has been vilified. And we have to kind of get to this space of like, what does this system as a whole system actually run on? And what does a whole food look like versus a processed food? And where is the happy medium? And how do we appreciate the convenience but still get what we need? Where does all of that fit in? Yeah, and we'll touch on all of that as well, but there are things that can help us kind of at least jumpstart that process for sure.
Yeah, and if you're used to not eating in the morning, that can be like, yeah, a good entry point. And then over time, you would want to transition to more whole food based proteins.
Yeah, certainly. I really liked the point about getting curious. I feel like cultivating curiosity as a response is so much more difficult than we give it credit for. And like just, developing like the second mind on top of the first mind. There's the mind that reacts, and then there's the mind that can pause and question the reaction. And obviously, this is so much easier to see in other people of like, why didn't you respond with curiosity as opposed to this or that? But I just love that point because if you can cultivate that space, like enough space between reaction and proaction, I guess maybe, then like it can change everything. So that's like so huge. I loved that you brought that up.
Yeah, a lot of things that gets in the way of curiosity is that our brain prefers black and white thinking. There's good and there's bad. And when you're ask yourself to find that middle ground, you have to pause and figure that out. And so one of my clients, that's their like shorthand, middle ground. That's what they ask themselves. What's the middle ground all day? And it's been life changing because it makes the pause happen instead of them having to remember to pause.
Good. Okay.
I keep reading the set aside 45 minutes to stay on one task and do it slowly. And I live in a house of 3 boys who don't do anything slowly. I mean, and a dog that is not doing anything slowly. And it's like, I feel like I could try to do it slowly while the tornado is swirling.
Oh, I have a good one. I have a good one. This is from a really brilliant therapist friend, and we were talking about how I can get pretty worked up. I'm not gonna lie. And my husband and I can get in this space of like being too involved in each other's energy and getting going here instead of him being this like mountain in my storm. That visual for me like clicked. I was like, you're right. There's all of this chaos. And he loves the snow and he loves to be bundled up and just like outside in the elements. So that's like the vision is either he's the mountain and I'm the storm because I got all this stuff in my brain and it's got to get out and all the things are showing up, or it's he's out in the elements and just like appreciating how bundled and how insulated you can really be and all of this chaos can happen around you. Yeah, I feel that.
Well, and my kid is really fast, not quite as chaotic as your kids, Tina, but you know what I notice is that he actually forces me to slow down a lot. Like we were at the hardware store and we were, going from one place to another place and he's moving at a snail's pace because he is talking. And I was just like, I'll just walk slow behind him. He like that was a reminder from the child for me to slow down, even though he was still being a little bundle of chaos. It was a slow moving bundle of chaos. But I wonder, Tina, if you could set aside time where you just go to a coffee shop and read a book or write in a journal
Yeah.
or whatever and leave the chaos with the husband.
Even making it to the backyard or the front yard, actually, because the backyard has the trampoline, which they're on all the time. But even if I made it to like the front porch, you know,
And it
it's
can be a fun hide and seek game too, of like, I wonder how long until my kids can find me.
I like that. I
I
like
have a hammock. Like a hammock is my happy place. And the second I lay down in my hammock, my whole body like melts. And I have one in the front yard and one in the backyard. So depending on where the kids are, I'll go to the other one. And I will. I'll kind of like be as still as I can and like they're not going to find me. They're not. I'm going to see if I can get 15 minutes out of this.
Yeah, and baby steps. 15 minutes is all you can get. 15 minutes is what you can get. Because I don't actually advocate staying up after your kids go to bed because I'm someone who needs I need more sleep than my child. If I always waited till he went after bed to have my quiet time, I would die of sleep deprivation.
Yeah, I'm chronically up late.
Yeah, so change that
Working on it.
revenge. Yeah, per se, the obligation to someone else, like meeting up for a walk, getting on a Zoom body double, things like that are easier to do with an obligation to somebody else. But this quiet time just takes a little bit of like, okay, if this was really important to me, if this was the difference between me having dementia or not, or something else that's equally scary to you, you think about what would I do? How would I prioritize that? And I think like, yeah, carving out 45 minutes once a week, if that's your beginner time, even going and sitting in your car and just taking an extra 45 minutes before you go into the grocery store.
Hide in the car.
Car vacations, those are
Yep.
important
I do that a lot, actually.
when you have small kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then when you're sitting in that car, instead of scrolling on your phone or, letting that time flip away, be really intentional with it. Okay, what do I want to do while I sit here in my car?
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's lots of things I could do.
What else is in the way of supporting your blood sugar, supporting your moods? I love when she mentioned plating your food. My sister and I got into that a long time ago when I lived with her of like making sure that when we set the food on the table that it looked beautiful. And so we had a thing about like the hated meal is when everything's like tan. So it was like absolutely not like you can't serve all tan food. So then we're gonna have to, swap one of these things out for something else. And then we would put it on the plate really pretty, just like we're at a fancy restaurant, and it just adds so much love to the food, right? But then it's fun to sit down and look at what I made. When I do a charcuterie board, sometimes I'll do like a mandala out of my nuts and olives and things, and then sit down and eat it.
Yeah, my daughter, I love a charcuterie board. And we were in the backyard. We built a sauna over winter, which is so fun. But my daughter was inside, she's 8, and she made us, the workers, a charcuterie board. And it was adorable. You maybe don't want to eat everything she put on there, but it was so cute because she put such intention into how she plated it. And she did pay attention to colors and she put nuts and she put some hummus. She did stuff that I kind of taught her and was like, I didn't know she was paying attention, but it's working.
So sweet. Yeah, my kid was a picky eater and a reluctant eater. He just doesn't have much appetite, and so we were encouraged to play with our food. So one time we like used carrot sticks and made an excavator, and then he ate the excavator, whereas he wouldn't have eaten the carrot sticks if they'd just been on the plate plain. And that's how that started for me, like to make it fun too. With my sister, it was like make it beautiful, and then with my kid, it's like, well, can I also make this fun? Play with your food.
Mhm.
It's a veggie exposure tip if you have small kids. Although Eric, I think your kids are grown. Your kids are grown. Sadie doesn't have kids yet.
Nope. I have heard recently, though, that even eating with your hands also triggers some of that same biological mechanisms in the stomach, like what acids and stuff or what your stomach will produce enzyme-wise in order to digest your food comes from eating with your hands as well, which is crazy.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Yeah.
So many cultures eat with their
Definitely
hands
play
as
with your
well.
hands. Yeah. And then play
Ethiopian
with your
food,
food.
you use the plate to scoop up the food and eat it, and it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions we can answer? They don't have to be related to these 4 tips. We're happy to answer any questions you have.
So in the structure of the upcoming group class, what is it real like just briefly? Meeting
So-
weekly?
Yeah, just like this, for 4 weeks.
Mhm.
And then each one will build on the previous. So we'll check in. How did last week's homework go? Homework, meaning, were you able to slow down and eat? Did you have breakfast last week? What came up? Because we want to keep troubleshooting that. And then the add-on. Okay, here's your next step. Here's your next step.
Yeah. So this would be a great place to like create the habit of the space that you're talking about here for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, cool. I love accountability. That's awesome.
Well,
Is
like
it possible that we could, if I heard you correctly, did you say that you could email us what it would look like, what the curriculum would look like? But on the other hand, as uh, I'm interrupting myself. So I'm stammering because, like, well, no, you got to pay first before you get it, Eric. We're not going to give you the whole thing, So I mean, that's what I'm thinking in my head, you dummy. But on the other hand, I'm the dummy, but I want to, but I want to see it. No. Is there anything that we could see what it looks like? And you had mentioned the costs as well. I'm interested.
Yeah, we made a little flyer. Is that
But I don't want you to send me anything that's like,
I think I have a
yeah.
sales page, but I was like, do I have a sales page? So give me a second.
No, don't create anything for me.
No, I think no, that's
don't do
literally
anything
part of
extra.
selling a program, Eric, is having a sales page so people can know what they're signing up for.
Yeah, but I mean, when you said homework earlier, I got PTSD. Like, I don't want to make you have homework now too. But
it's like play work. It's like
play
home
work.
play. Home play, not homework.
And it's just caring for yourself.
Yeah.
You can't get a grade on it. So let's see.
Yeah, good point. That's a good point.
No grading.
Yeah.
So the sales page just doesn't have the content yet, but I should add it. So I will do that, Eric, and then I'll send you this link.
Now, see, now I feel like I'm asking an extraordinary. I was thinking I was parroting
me very important feedback.
Yeah, thank you. But I was thinking I was just parroting what Sade said earlier. So I don't want to be asking anything. I thought she was asking for it, so I was kind of saying I want it too. But I mean, if I could anything that could just give me an idea of what it would look like. You don't need to break it all down for me. That's confidential stuff for you too, and I don't want to. I don't want anything like that. But just that would be great if I could.
I'm putting it in the chat.
I feel like I'm saying I want to have my lawyer take a look at it. I don't mean it like that, but I'm interested.
You're like, I'm going to plug this into Chat GPT and skip the program. Just kidding. I put in the chat what we're going to cover in the 4 weeks.
Yeah, if you haven't noticed yet, I need some help. So I mean, I'm interested. There's no doubt about it. I'm relating to
Saw Eric, like have you seen Bad Boys?
Yes.
He's like keeps massaging his earlobes.
Yeah. There you go.
Woosah.
Yeah, but I identify with what you're saying, and this has been special. Thank you. Thank you to both of you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you for your time and everything. Thank you. Oh, I'm not trying to say goodbye to everybody. No. I mean, I just wanted to tell you my 2 cents. For all of you.
We're just here for you. Anything you want to talk about, Eric? You said, let's see, what did you say earlier? You want to communicate more succinctly?
Yeah, I want to be a better, kidding aside, I want to be a better resource and I want to be a better resource and to communicate more succinctly about everything. Yeah, that's not a good enough response. I just want to be more succinct. Yes.
And I think that sometimes when we feel like we're talking too much, 1, we're not. And 2, it's because we have a fear of being misunderstood because there's been consequences for that in the past. And so that would be the work I would suggest for you, Eric, is to think about what happens if I'm misunderstood in my nervous system. And then if you can sit with that and realize, I'd actually be okay if everybody misunderstood me, then that's the practice. And then you don't need as many words to make sure you're being understood. Does that resonate with you?
That's good.
Well, I mean, if I can be succinct, if I can try to be succinct, like, for example, a coworker today, just how I'm talking right now and just my personality, Sadie's, smiling. I mean, some of you know me. So I'm I'm just like this all the time. And so this person messaged me back and she said, I think I can get it done by this afternoon. And I had to like respond back to her. I have a sense of urgency with everything. No worries. We don't need to. And that's what I mean. I give off, I think, I know I do. I give off this, people's blood pressure kind of starts to elevate, I think, when they're around me a little bit. And I know what that's like when I'm around somebody that's kind of like me. And it's like, hey, slow down. You get me going here. And so that's what I mean about being more succinct. I want to be, I think I just give off this image that, I need it and I need it now. And life's not like that. And I don't expect that. But I think I just have I was going to say positive energy. I have such energy that it just gives this impression of we got to move quickly. And that's what I got to work on is how do I come across? And I want to be more succinct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Like I said, just slow down on everything. Slow down how fast you eat and chew it and enjoy it and savor it and add more life to your life too. You talk about novelty. What do they say? Time flies when you're having fun, but then when you look back on having a lot of fun experiences, that time actually feels like, oh man, last week feels forever ago because so many things have happened since then. So it's novelty that creates like the length of your life. So that's why like old people feel like summer goes by so fast is because they're not doing anything new. They're not doing anything differently with their summer than previous summers. And so you have to intentionally go out and find that novelty and create more life in your life, but without the urgency, right? So it's like the two-pronged thing. How can I do something differently and then really just savor the heck out of it? Like eating breakfast outside on your patio or calling someone you haven't talked to in a while for your walk that you always do. Just like make one little change to something you're already doing that adds joy, that adds pleasure, that adds recharge. And then you'll feel less urgency. You'll feel more safety. Any other questions? Anything else we can help with? We're here. We got time.
Ben, you got any working on anything up there?
I'm diligently taking notes for my wife, actually, as a matter of fact.
Yes, you're a good guy.
That's
Love
so
it.
sweet.
She was unable. She's very busy right now. So
Love it.
so I was like, all right, I'll sit and take notes, and then we'll talk about it. Clearly, but anyway, it was
Amazing.
good.
Thanks for doing that.
Hmm?
And Clara, you got anything going on over there?
I'll just say that I did one of Marcy's series, I think a year or two back. And one of my favorite things was I would just get irrationally angry when I was cleaning. And we just chatted a little bit. It was a similar thing where it's just go and sit with this for a second and think about it. And that was literally all I needed. It was brilliant. I love cleaning now. It's fantastic.
That's
And I love because,
amazing.
yeah. So thank you for all of that.
It's so good.
I love using anger to clean.
That's what I do.
But then, yeah, I found that a lot of my clients have been like, but then I developed this association that when I'm cleaning, I'm angry. And so I have had like 4 or 5 clients who are like, as soon as I start cleaning, I just feel rage. Like they have that strong of a association. And so they have to like stop and intentionally break it.
That's funny. I get a lot done if I'm rage cleaning. It's like a tornado of cleaning. And then I'm like, yeah, that was awesome.
One time my sister was like, you help me clean my room and then I'll help you clean your room. And I helped her clean her room and then she left to hang out with friends. Yeah. And I was so mad and I cleaned my room and she got back and she was like, I bet you cleaned your room faster because you were mad. So in a way, I really did help you.
You were like, I can.
That is next level.
Yeah, she's devious.
Woo.
Tina, anything else?
Oh, I don't know. It's summertime with a house full of kids.
You need to bring them over to my house on, let's see, I think Fridays are our days off. They can play in the pool. We have a pool, Tina.
Ooh,
Bring
yeah.
them over here.
They actually went on a trip with their aunt for the first week and a half after school, so they just got back. So I actually had it was quiet, but they got back today or yesterday, and it's been
Bliss
ever since. Like all the surfaces have things on them. After all the surfaces not having things on them, I'm just like, how did they manage to fill up an entire dining room table with stuff?
In seconds.
When my house is very chaotic, I just imagine I could, if I wanted, go get my own apartment and everything, the services would stay clear. If I set something somewhere, it would stay there. And I have this whole fantasy life where my apartment is my space. And then I was like, but I choose my family.
I know, right? It's like, well, the chaos means they're here,
Yeah.
you know? But
Like how happy I would be to see that if I was missing them. Like, oh, his hat that he decided to put on top of my
right?
computer.
I know. It's true. Two things can be true at once, right?
Two
That's
things can be
right.
true at once.
That middle ground.
For real.
I hate that this is on the table, and I love it's on the table.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's summer, so we eat outside on the patio. So sometimes I'm like, screw it. I'm not. I don't have to like freak out about cleaning off the table of their stuff because I'm like, oh, we're gonna eat outside,
Hose it down.
so I don't even care.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks again everyone for being here.
Yeah.
We'll send you a follow-up email with the links and everything, and you can share them for us.
That would be amazing.
It would be amazing if you could share those with anyone that you know that might be interested.
How many people are you looking for or hoping for?
6 or more. 6 is the minimum for us to do it. Because in my experience, when I had groups smaller than 6, if you have like 1 or 2 people absent, you no longer have the great conversation and discussion that happens. And so 6 is our minimum.
Yeah. And it's just 1 hour once a week.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so doable. That's awesome.
It
Right?
is doable.
I think so.
Yeah, cool.
Have someone else deal with the bedtime chaos or dinner chaos, depending on your household,
Yeah.
for once a week.
Yep.
And can you remind us the time again? You said Fridays at what time?
No, it'll be just like this. Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Tuesdays at 6.
Fridays.
Okay.
Could you imagine?
Sorry. I know. I thought I heard you
Friday.
say
I mean,
Fridays.
my goodness, Sadie, what are you doing?
How dare I? How
I was
dare
like, Friday. Okay.
I'm out.
I did
Well,
acting.
now you know that it's Tuesdays. No objections
Tuesdays.
there.
Well, my thought was Taco Tuesday, and then you pulled out Friday. I'm like, wait a minute, Friday? Friday. Oh, no, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
No, I love that.
Love it.
I'll just
Much better
change. I'll just change. Dad does dinner night.
Yeah.
There you
So, I have
go.
to deal with it.
Yes.
I love that.
Problem solved.
You're in the way.
I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for
Yeah,
coming and
thank you,
sharing your
Marcy.
energy
Thank
and
you,
being
Beth.
here, everybody.
Bye.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You.
Thank you.
We love Eric's energy.
Bye, Ben.
Well, I love all your energy. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good
See
night.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Eric.
Thank you, Marcy.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Marcy. And thank you, Beth. Thank you, everybody. See you later.
Absolutely.
That was great. Thank you.